Okay, here we are. So, this topic about forgiveness is, I think, really resonant for people, and it can cover a really wide range of different scenarios, but really a lot of it comes back to the deep trauma that we experience with our family of origin. And so that's something that we're going to talk about today. And welcome. I am Ocean Everly. I am talking about forgiveness today. And I'd love for you to ask any questions that you have in the chat. So if you have specific questions, please do share them so that we can go over them together. I find that a lot of people have very similar questions. A lot of people are going through things that are very similar because of the very specific place that we are in our human evolution. So I think a lot of people are actually on this healing journey, and in particular on this journey of forgiveness, trying to figure out how to forgive. What does forgiveness even mean? What does forgiveness even feel like? What does it entail? So that's what I want to talk about today. And again, if you have questions, put them in the chat. Let's talk about them. But just to start off, forgiveness, I think a lot of people have this idea that forgiveness is um, this experience of having a sort of like a outward pointed experience towards somebody else, like I forgive you. Hey, Purple Hearts, good to see you. The way that I see forgiveness, and I think it's the healthier way to see it, is more pointed inwards towards yourself. And no, I'm not going to say to forgive yourself. Hey, hey, MX, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing? Thank you for the likes, my dear. So what I'm going to say, and the reason why I think forgiveness is pointed inwards, is because it's really more of a desire for yourself to experience peace. So, how bad do you want yourself to be at peace? That's where it starts. That's like the seed. It doesn't mean that you've gotten to a place of forgiveness, but that moment that you reach where you're like, I I want I know I want peace for myself. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know what forgiveness means. I don't know how to do it, but I know that I want peace for myself. And in order to have peace for yourself, you cannot carry anger. You cannot carry resentment. You can't carry those feelings with you because do you see how that's the opposite of peace? So that's something that we're going to talk about. Good, MX. I'm really glad you're doing well. Why is it so hard to forgive ourselves or over others sometimes? Um, so to forgive ourselves over others, if you have an example, that would be helpful. But I think that for some people, I think that when it comes to forgiveness, people kind of fall into two camps. There's people that tend to put blame on themselves, and then there's people that tend to put blame on other people. So, and in reality, like we're all a mix of both, but it's really about where our attention is and what we're focusing on. So sometimes some people will focus on what they did wrong, and sometimes some people will focus more on what the other person did wrong or what they perceive the other person did wrong. And that's what informs your whole narrative of whatever has happened. So if you find yourself having a hard time forgiving yourself, then you probably fall into the category of people who tend to blame themselves more than the other person. And in reality, it's not even about blame. It's about holding responsibility. It's about you taking responsibility for your part and understanding that the other person also had a responsibility in their part, and that you both created the situation, whatever it is that happened. So I think that the first step in order to forgive yourself is to start to have compassion for the emotions that come up towards yourself instead of trying to minimize it. Like sometimes we have those hard feelings about ourselves. We think we did something wrong, but our brain will try to minimize it to try to make it go away. So for example, it might pop up, I guess there's a few ways that this could go. It could happen that, you have that thought of like, I'm so bad, I did something terrible, or I did something wrong, I hurt this person, I'm such a bad person. And maybe you like kind of push that thought away, or you try to minimize it like, well, I guess it wasn't that bad, or they did this too, like it wasn't just my fault. Like your brain sometimes tries to explain it through it, tries to analyze through it, or just suppress it and push it away. What we actually want to do, the path that we want to take, is to really sit and feel the disappointment that we feel in ourselves and validate, of course, I'm disappointed in myself because I didn't act in a way that I wanted to act. I didn't live up to the person who I want to be. That goes along with my feeling of feelings practice, which you can find in my YouTube channel, which is in my bio here on TikTok. So I would say that's a really great place to start, because the foundation of forgiveness is compassion. So no matter who you're trying to forgive, whether it's yourself or other people, it starts with compassion. It actually starts with compassion for yourself in both cases, not compassion for the other person. Okay, MX. Oh, I mean, like, why is it easier to be critical of ourselves rather than others sometimes? Well, I think it's the same response that I would have. It's because you focus a lot on blaming yourself instead of blaming others. Um, and there probably, if that's the case, there might be some kind of like people pleasing tendencies that you might notice in yourself, or maybe some perfectionism tendencies that you notice in yourself, uh, probably stemming from some experience in childhood where you felt that you needed to show up as a perfect person, a perfect child. So something in some way when you were a child, it's most likely that if you weren't perfect in whatever way that meant, usually that meant suppressing, usually that means suppressing feelings as a child so as not to burden your guardians with your hard feelings because they don't know what to do with them. So if you weren't showing up perfectly, then you would either get punished or you would get ignored, something like that that might have happened, so that critical voice just stuck. And it maybe feels easier to be critical of yourself instead of other people because that's how you were taught to navigate those experiences. Um, Okay, Purple Hearts. My friend is not treating me great. She keeps saying things like, I thought you said you were a good uh communicator, but you're not calling me back. So why aren't you calling them back? And are you telling them something um instead of calling them back? Uh Obviously there's more to the story. So let me know what else you want to share. But yeah, I think that's a good question. That was a good question, MX. So thanks for that, because I think that is something that a lot of people struggle with is that critical voice of yourself. And so really the very first place to start is with that voice in your head, the voice that tells you you did something wrong or that you're bad. And it's actually what we want to hear instead of running away from that voice. What our brain and even our inner child actually wants to hear is like, yeah, of course you feel ashamed. Of course you feel guilty. Of course you feel scared because you were always supposed to be perfect and then you didn't show up perfectly. And that feels scary. So there's a practice in my link tree if you go to my YouTube where you can find the feeling of feelings practice. Because we really need to start validating those hard emotions, whatever they are that come up that tell us we're bad, and even speaking it out loud, like, yeah, parts of me really does feel like I'm a bad person. Of course, I feel like I'm a bad person because I didn't show up perfectly. I didn't show up in the way that I wanted to show up. And I know that I don't have to be perfect. Um, yeah, Purple Hearts. So I can tell just by the way that you're phrasing these things that you have some frustration towards her, and because of the way that you said she texts you baiting things. Because it might feel like like baiting, but that's because you have your own feelings towards it. So I think you should focus on your own feelings instead of on what she's doing. How do you feel about what she's doing? It's not, this is where we get stuck. Like we keep focusing on like, well, they're doing this and they're doing that and they're making me feel this way. Well, let's stop focusing on what they're actually doing. Let's focus on how you feel about what they're doing. And let's work through that. So take your space away from your friend and focus on what is coming up for you. And you know the feeling of feelings practice, which again is available. Yeah, she's one of your only friends here. So, but that's all stuff that you need to feel because of course you feel those things. And I'm sure that in that case it feels like a lot scarier because she is one of your only friends where you are. So it feels like a big thing to to consider the possibility of losing her. And that's your responsibility to feel through those things. Use the feeling of feelings practice and feel those things. You're only going to be able to get to a place where you know what to do and how to handle it when you feel through your feelings and validate them because and most of the time that means taking space from the person because what's actually happening is her texting you those things is actually like re-triggering you before you've even had the chance to like feel the feelings. So then it just kind of piles on. And now you just are more anxious, more, upset about the situation. And hold on a second. Excuse me. Um, so it's really important that you take the time away from her, set it aside, and thank you. Set the situation aside and feel what's coming up for you because she is bringing up something for you to face, to heal. And it's your responsibility to look at it and to validate what's coming up. All those feelings are totally valid. And when you give yourself the space, the time and space to feel them, you'll know better what you'll be able to get to a place where you are more at peace and you know what to do with what's happening. Um, Hold on. Now I have to blow my nose. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right, hold on. Okay, does that make sense? Purple hearts. Tell me know what you think about that. Oh wait, let me go off screen. I don't know if it's true, but they said there was somebody that said you're not supposed to like drink on TikTok anything because they don't know what's in it. Okay, yes, feel my feelings. I did it after the phone call, but I guess I need to do it every day. You might need to. Well, yeah, I think use your intuition as to what feels right. You know, sometimes these situations actually bring up something so much deeper that we don't even realize. Like, um, something came up for me recently with one of my friends that I realized was actually a trigger of an abandonment wound. So, like, you know, it's possible a lot of times something that doesn't seem related does actually like trigger something deeper in you. And that might mean just like doing the practice, like sitting with it for a longer period of time or journaling about it. Sometimes I'll start journaling to try to like get the energy out. That's another way besides the feeling of feelings practice. It's another way that you can get the energy out. And for me, sometimes when it is something that triggers something deep, I have to do both. Like I sit and I just like journal as much as I can, and eventually I just start speaking out loud and doing the feeling of feelings practice and validating over and over and over again. Of course I'm scared. Of course I'm scared. You know, of course I'm sad. Because I've lost so much, right? Like it feels like such a threat. It feels so scary, this prospect of losing this person, because I've experienced so much loss. And so of course I'm terrified, right? That type of thing. So yeah, it's definitely deeper. I get dismissed a lot by those I love, like parents. Yeah, so it might actually be triggering something like her behavior. It's not by accident. Like this is the universe trying to give you a different avenue for kind of facing these types of things. Um, if her behavior is reminiscent of your parents, for example, it's another avenue to heal that part of you. But it can only be healed if you are looking at it and sitting with it, sitting in the emotion. It's not just about doing the feeling of feelings practice. The whole point of the feeling of feelings practice is that you feel. And sometimes when it is a deeper wound, you're gonna have to sit and feel it, like literally put aside hours. Like put aside after afternoon, like you have nothing to do because you're just gonna allow yourself to sit and feel. And then again, the practice itself only takes a few minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, again, if you're like journaling or doing something like I do, if it's something deeper. But like I know that I'm not gonna feel like doing anything else after that. So don't have anything else scheduled. Just allow yourself to like sit in the sadness and the fear and feel the weight of it, the heaviness of it. Allow yourself to cry, because if it is that deep of a wound, you probably like tears are going to come up because you've been carrying that for so long. Please like and share the live, my dears. Okay, Purple Hearts, I'm going through medical stuff and nobody thinks it's as serious as it is. Yeah, and that might be, you know, I mean, it kind of sounds like I think what you're saying is that might be related to like the dismissiveness that you felt. And so um it might it might be I've actually noticed that a lot of times like multiple things will be happening in my life at the same time that relate to the same lesson. So this wound of being dismissed, it might be like reflecting back to you through your friend and through people, or you know, certain people in your life not believing that this medical thing is serious, right? So you feel like dismissed on these two fronts, because that's the lesson that you're supposed to be healing right now. That's the wound that you're supposed to be healing right now. And so it makes total sense that they would be reflecting those things, and that um that it would be the right time for you to then be facing those things. And you can do it in tandem. You can do it at the same time, like the same feeling and feelings practice. You can express how you feel. Like I know you feel dismissed, and you can say that, and then I also and like validate that. Of course, I feel dismissed because of XYZ, right? But then also what's behind the dismissiveness, because what's usually behind it's like dismissiveness is it's not like a root emotion. It's almost like an experience that comes because of the root emotions, kind of like anxiety. Like anxiety isn't an emotion. What's behind anxiety is like fear and anger sometimes. But mostly anxiety is the physical manifestation of fear. But dismissiveness is like is like what the experience is of the emotion. And the emotion might be that behind dismissiveness, like I'm just so sad and I'm just so hurt. I'm so disappointed in people and these people. So like get to the root emotions too. Okay, so Mrs. Fortune, hello, my dear. I don't know if you're still in here. Better off without my family. They are toxic, staying on block. Oh, okay. Um, I would venture to guess that if you're calling them toxic, then you still have got some anger and resentment. So that's something that you could look at healing, and you can use the feeling of feelings practice in my YouTube if you want to explore that. Yeah. Okay, Purple Hearts, that sounds good. Sending you big hugs. Um, yeah, it's really interesting the way that that happens. That's very typical that multiple lessons get thrown at you at the same time, and it can feel so overwhelming. And it almost feels like everything in your life is collapsing, or all of your relationships are collapsing, because you're really breaking through something big. So the anxiety that's coming up is always um, is like the tension of you starting to break through. I think I always wanted someone in my corner, and I don't have that. It hurts my soul. And that's also part of the deeper hurt, the deeper wounds that is coming up. And that's something that is good to feel through as well. Well, I mean I think you're already doing it. Just the fact that you're talking about this, and again, I think the important thing is going to be to like say those things out loud, do the practice, and like really feel the deep hurt and the deep sadness, and feeling that, and validate how hurtful and how sad that really is, and how that's felt so hurtful and so sad for so long. And then don't forget to breathe through it, and you will break through it. 100% you'll break through it. Will just feeling it make me not want it anymore? Well, what feeling it does is feeling, because basically what's happening is with those hard feelings that are coming up and the wounds that are being triggered, it's your inner child that's being triggered. So that inner child is like screaming for attention. And so you're looking outwards towards these other people and how they're not giving you the thing that you want. They're not actually giving you the attention that that little inner child wanted, has always wanted. And so what feeling it does is actually shows your inner child that you will show up, that you will be the one in your corner, that you will be the one to allow those feelings to be seen, heard, and felt. Because if you felt for so long that you never had anybody in your corner, it's likely that you never really probably didn't feel like you could share those hurt feelings ever. So it's about showing yourself that you're going to show up no matter whether anybody else does. And the more that you do that and make that a practice, the more that you are going to stop wanting that because you don't need it from other people. That's why they say, like, that these types of sayings that feels kind of amorphous, like kind of, I don't know, like just like cliche sayings like, you've got to love yourself before you love someone else, right? And it's like, well, what does that really mean? I know for a long time I was like, I don't know what that means. I feel like I love myself. But I think that this is a really great example of what that means in action, because here you can see how your inner child is craving something from the outside, looking everywhere for it and being disappointed in every single person because they're not giving it. And this is the way that you start to show up and give it to yourself in a very practical way through doing the practice, feeling the feelings, and giving yourself the attention that nobody else is giving you, and being there for yourself through all the hurt. Through all the hurt. And I promise you, it's not a small thing. It's not a small thing doing this practice and showing up for yourself. It's actually the biggest thing that you can do for yourself, because what it's actually doing is building trust with yourself long term. So that's why I always call it a practice, because the practice is what starts to build trust with yourself, that you will show up and that you will keep showing up and you'll keep showing up and you'll keep showing up and you'll keep showing up when it's hard, when it's inconvenient, when it's really not pretty, when it's not perfect, but you're going to keep showing up and you're going to keep allowing yourself, and you're letting your inner child feel those hard feelings, and you're going to keep being there and validating them. Of course you're scared. That's you reparenting yourself. Of course you're scared. Of course you're sad. There's no other way you could possibly feel. You've wanted this for so long. You've wanted someone in your corner for so long, and it feels like nobody's there. Of course you're hurt. And even when I'm saying those words, I feel tears in my eyes. So this is what it means to feel your feelings. When they say sit in the feeling, sit with the emotion, really allow yourself to feel it. And if you do, you're probably going to cry, because your body can't hold this type of energy for so long. Your body needs to release the energy. And one of the best ways that it has of doing that is through tears. I have so much love for myself, but I guess I just need to keep showing up because something is missing. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's beautiful that you have so much love for yourself, and there's always different ways that you can show up for yourself, in different ways that maybe you're probably showing up for yourself in a lot of other ways, right? But there might be like a missing piece of how you still of what you still need, how you still need yourself to show up. And the truth is, and this is kind of a hard truth for a lot of people, this is the path to even getting to a place where you can build healthy relationships with your current people in your life, and with new people in your life that are going to come into your life. This is how you get to a place where you can build a healthy relationship, any healthy relationship, because when you go into a relationship wanting so badly for the other person to see, hear, and understand you, it's not authentic. It's not an authentic place to build a relationship from, because you're craving something, you're needing something from them. And that's not how healthy relationships are made. Healthy relationships are built upon a mutual curiosity for the other person and a desire to connect with the other person. And connection sometimes allows you to feel seen, heard, and understood, but it's pretty rare. So most people, most relationships in your life, most People will be able to connect with you on much more surface level in much more surface level ways, and it's not their responsibility to learn how to see your depths. It's your responsibility to learn how to see and validate your depths, to get to a place where you don't need to be seen, heard, and understood. You don't have that craving anymore, and I promise you, you will get there, and that will happen if you keep up with the practices. And that's where you build authentic relationships from. Because then you go into it being curious about that person, and whether they can meet you at surface level or whether they can meet you down here at your depths, fine. You're okay with both of those experiences because you don't need anything from them. So you can accept whatever it is they show you. Doesn't mean that you're going to be best friends with the surface level person. Probably you're not going to have, a deep relationship with them. You're just going to be like friendly with them. Say hi when you see them. But the person that where you can meet them, where you both can see, hear, and understand each other, that's a beautiful thing that you'll be able to recognize, because you're not seeking it. So I hope that makes sense. Oh, good, Purple Hearts. I'm so glad that this is helpful for you to hear. Thank you for sharing, because again, you're not the only one going through this type of experience. Hold on. Okay, I didn't have to forgive them, thankfully, says Jira. My parents died and I moved far away from fam, no contact. Well, forgiveness is still something that you can do even after people die. So if there is still hard feelings towards family that have passed away, that's still your responsibility to heal, because it will impact you if you harbor anger and resentment. And again, no contact. I can't imagine going no contact with every single human being in my entire family, because not every person is the same person. I mean, nobody is the same person. So, you know, there would be different feelings I have towards each person. Chloe, forgive them, then forget them. Sort of, maybe, I don't know. Maybe sometimes. So, what other questions do you guys have? Please like and share the live. Yeah, Purple Hearts, thank you so much for sharing all of that too, because I think it's really helpful for a lot of people to understand. I think that's actually a place that a lot of people get stuck, is in that experience of like so desperately wanting to be seen, heard, and understood. And to be honest with you, I think that it's also, I think that when we look at the collective and what's happening, it's also a big reason why people are like desperate to find a partner, um and to like get married, and that's the goal. Or like as adults, we're like desperate to make friends because we deeply, deeply want to be seen, heard, and understood. And we have this like idealized image in our mind that once we have those things, we'll finally feel seen, heard, and understood, because we'll finally have those people that have been missing in our lives. Right? Like once I get a partner, I'll finally have somebody who sees, hears, and understands me. Once I meet new people or make new friends or something, then I'll finally feel fulfilled and feeling seen. And that's not really the way that it goes typically. So that's, and the other thing that I'm seeing is like, even like Oprah did a special. It's very much in the zeitgeist of the time. This like energy of people are not like coupling up in the way that they should. And I think that the session that Oprah held was more on like the crisis of that men are going through and not being able to sit in their masculinity and be able to like seek out women and things. And I think there's truth in that. And I don't think that it's well, I should say I think it's by design, to be honest with you, that people are not coming into relationship right now at this time because you see a lot of frustrated, especially women, a lot of frustrated women. But at the same time, that gives us a lot of time to really truly sit in our own, or I guess explore our own power and explore our own fulfillment outside of a relationship. And hopefully for a lot of women, understanding that even their deep desire for a relationship is not wrong, but that it might be coming from a place of wanting to be seen, heard, and understood instead of a more genuine, authentic place of really being excited to be curious about another human being, to build with another human being, to know the flaws of another human being, to understand the understand that the same human being that you sign up to marry one day is going to be a totally different human being 5 years from that point, 10 years from that point, 15. And do you trust who you are to choose that person for the rest of your life? And do you trust that person? Reflecting back yourself, do you trust them to keep growing and being a person that you would keep choosing? See what I'm saying? Okay. It's hard to not want to explain myself away to my friend and others, but it doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah. I just tend to pour a lot of my energy into trying to understand, and it doesn't work really. Yeah. Yes, it's hard to get to curiosity when I just want to be seen. Exactly. So, but that's a really great place to be because now, like, that's exactly, I mean, that's like really self-aware of you to say. And because I think a lot of people would be like, well, I am curious about, the other person. Well, are you curious, or do you just really want something from them? Do you just really like need them to see you? And it might not be, it's not like a black and white thing, but I think it's really important to get clear on what, uh, like it can be a mixture of things, um, but I think really being honest with yourself is a great place to start about like what is your real motivation? So, um, I think that it's maybe just a good place for you to start to make some of these practices like really a more regular practice so that you do start to see, hear, and understand yourself and start to gain trust in yourself that you will show up. Because really, what you want to know is that somebody's going to show up for you. And part of showing up for yourself is allowing yourself to feel the hurt that you feel like nobody else is. And so even though it might not feel like that is a big thing, like what is it good is it going to do to feel hurt that nobody's showing up for me? But it's kind of funny because in allowing that for yourself and doing that practice, you're showing up for yourself. It's an incredibly big thing. It's so big and we don't even realize how big it is. That's why I harp on this practice so much and why it's a real foundation of what I talk about. Um, but I would also say, like, back to what you said, it's hard to not want to explain myself away to my friend and others, but it doesn't seem. Yeah, I think part of this journey is also learning to discern what other people have the capacity to understand. And it may be that your friend doesn't truly have the capacity to understand where you're at or what you need or what's going on with you. And again, this is why these go, like, all of this goes this journey goes hand in hand with, navigating relationships. You have to have a practice for feeling your feelings, because if you feel your feelings, like, I feel like parts of me feel really, and I don't know your feelings towards your friend at this point. I'm just going to make this up. Parts of me feel really frustrated that my friend keeps saying these things to me. And of course I feel frustrated because I feel like she's not hearing me. And I feel like she's being manipulative. It feels, if parts of me feel frustrated, that it feels like she's trying to manipulate me. And of course I feel frustrated because I don't feel like she's really understanding my situation. You know, hard feelings are going to come up. Maybe then you get to, like, parts of me feel really hurt because I feel like she's not trying to hear me. And I also know that, she probably has her own anxiety, and I know that's also not my problem. Parts of me feel really disappointed in her. And of course I feel really disappointed in her. Of course I feel really hurt. This is what I'm talking about. This is the type of thing I'm talking about, is like, part of this journey of navigating relationships and getting to a place where we know how to build healthy ones and be in healthy ones is being able to discern when somebody's not able, doesn't have the capacity to hold something of ours. And that also looks like, again, being able to show up for ourselves, because hard feelings are going to come up. It's not just like, oh, I don't think she's really hearing me. Like, that sucks, right? Like, it's not, no, it's actually really hurtful. It's actually really sad, that this person that you care about, maybe you love, maybe, you've been friends for a while, whatever it is, that this person is not able to meet you where you want to be met. And you have the responsibility of showing up for those emotions and showing up for yourself when she can't. Well, it is pretty clear the people around me can't hold the things I share, so I guess I haven't met anyone like that yet. Yeah, and people are gonna have capacity to hold different things at different times, but if and honestly, if you have one person in your life that can hold things, deeper things for you, then you're very lucky. But that is why I always recommend people to have at least, and you've probably heard me say this, Purple Hearts, everyone should have at least one, like, one-to-one person that they're working with, whether it's a therapist, a coach, an energy healer, a psychic. I don't care who it is, somebody that they trust, a safe place that they have. Because sometimes when we don't have people that can hold those things in our lives, that's where the one-to-one, the healers come in. That's where the healers come in to take the place of the people that can't hold us at that time. And that's why having somebody one-to-one support you is so critical, because most of the time, for a lot of people, they don't have that person in their life, especially when you're going through, the tumult of the healing journey and the spiritual awakening journey. It's an extremely isolating journey. It's an extremely isolating um, process where you do spend most of your time alone. And I speak from personal experience, where there's this energy of where you go inwards, and you have to, again, it's by design, where you go inwards put all your focus inwards. And that's why, you have to have some sort of healer helping you because you can't do this alone. You can't do this journey alone. And I know from the fact that you show up here often on these lives and you have the open mindset to hear what I'm saying and to learn that you are on an incredibly powerful healing journey and probably a spiritual awakening journey, which means that you might be in the isolation stage of that journey where a lot of your time will be spent internal, a lot of your time will be spent alone so that you can focus more on your internal experience of your life and healing those things. But you do need help. Nobody can do this alone. I wish. Well, I can't really afford a healer, which I would love. What do you think of traditional therapy? Therapist doesn't really appeal to me at all, but covered by insurance. You think a regular therapist can hold the spiritual parts of this, though? I think you need to go with your intuition. What I will say is that, so first of all, I would say wherever you live, look for like free or donation based um like energy healing if that's interesting for you. A lot of places I know at least I've lived in California and New York and not in New York City, by the way. Like more rural New York, and still been able to find free Reiki clinics or donation based Reiki clinics. So that's pretty common. If you just look that up, see if there's like sometimes some clinics will do, a special every, once a month or something where they'll offer community-based healing or energy healing, things like that. So that's something that or just other or just other I mean look online and see if there's other kind of things like that that might be interesting for you. Again, use your intuition on what feels right. But as far as therapy, um, you could try BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a really good resource to look for like um lower cost therapy options. They do have like a financial assistance option where they'll give you a discount. And then I know I've had experience where um I've met a therapist actually through BetterHelp and then went to work with them outside of BetterHelp because they also gave me an even better price, like a much lower price, because of my financial situation. So, you know, I think you've just got to be honest with people, honest with yourself, but make it a priority because it needs to be a priority because what you're going through is not easy. And even if, you have to kind of like budget it in somehow. I don't obviously know your full situation, but it is really important to have at least one person. And the thing about BetterHelp is you can still look for people that kind of have that spiritual element. I specifically in my journey looked for therapists that have some sort of understanding of like the spiritual stuff so that we can at least connect on that level because there are people that do therapy and are more spiritual that are not just like traditional therapists or just go online and Google it, therapists that are also like spiritually inclined or like therapists with energy healers. Like a lot of people are therapists and something else, or you could look for coaches, but coaches are going to be like more expensive, I would say, in general. So, oh, you're in California. Well, I lived in San Francisco and I know that, yeah, if you're in California, I would be very surprised if you couldn't find something that was like some sort of like free energy. Just look it up, look it up. I know in San Francisco, because that's where I lived, that there was something like that. I actually found it after I moved away, but I know that there is something, and I don't know how good it is or anything, but like the one that I have here where I live now in New York is it's incredible, and it's all donation based, and it's been something that has saved me. So if that does interest you, yeah, look it up, see what you can find. Like really just get like really curious about what could be helpful for you, and then just use your intuition to see who you're drawn to, what you're drawn to, like what feels right. You know, it's not even about like knowing that something is right, but even trying to go into it with a little bit of curiosity, like, I think I'd really like to get a little bit more support, and like let me just be curious about what this experience is, who this other person is, how I'm going to feel with this person, see how you feel in the session. Um, but this is why I always say, like, everybody has to have somebody that they're working with one on one, because especially if you feel like you don't have that safe space in your life, that any safe person that you can be really upfront and honest with about what's coming up, you, that's what they're there for. That's literally why healers are there. Any kind of healer, and therapists are great healers too, but you just have to find the right one. And like, again, if you have the spiritual inclination, try to look for that, because I found that. And in California, I feel like you could definitely find that. Um, but yeah, trust yourself on this journey. Hey, Case World. I needed to hop on this today. Visited my granddad in the hospital, and the family dynamics are so bad, but it was great to hold his hand. I didn't get that with my dad before he passed, so that was nice. Wow, I'm really sorry to hear that, my dear. That's been a tough day, it sounds like. Hope there's something in Florida. Yeah, oh, I'm sure there's something in Florida. Look it up, just see what you can find. Purple Hearts. Wow, okay, I thought I could do this alone, but really I'm not okay. Yeah, my dear. Oh, I'm so proud of you for saying that and admitting that. And honestly, no, nobody can do this alone. This is not an easy journey, and we all need support. And I'm really glad that you come on here and that I'm able to be a support for you. But the way that I see what I do is I see myself as as a support for the one-on-one support that like I almost see it as like two sides of the same coin. Like at the same time as somebody like yourself would be coming on and engaging with my content, they would also be working with somebody one-on-one, so that basically you're getting the support from all sides, right? Like you're getting support in the content that you're intaking, and you're getting support one-on-one. And so I see like one-on-one healers and like what I do as being really like working together to support people in their journeys, because you do need both. I think it's really important that you do come on here, that you do intake other content that supports your journey. And it's also really important that you have somebody that you feel safe with in your own life, that can meet you where you need to be met and help you navigate. Being a human is not easy. Um, yeah, Case World, let me know if you want to share anything else about the family dynamics, because I could imagine, I mean, I really can't imagine because I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I can't imagine going through that today. And then if there's other dynamics going on, that would be very challenging. You have been a great gift to have found. Oh, thank you, my dear. And I will look for something in my area. Yay! That makes me so happy. I mean, that honestly, like, really, your words mean a lot to me. I try to use the things that I learn and the gifts that I have to make a difference. And honestly, it makes me like so happy that you are gonna look for additional help because I couldn't have done this. I couldn't have done anything myself without the countless. I've had multiple different therapists in my journey. I've had multiple different coaches. I've had energy healers. I've gone to psychics. Like I have literally at any given time have had like maybe two. I think I started off with a therapist, then had a coach, then had a therapist type of thing. But then at some point, like now I just have multiple. I use them when I need them. It's not like something that I go to regularly, but like I know I can tell when I need to go. And I still do um make sure that that at any given time I know that I have at least two outlets of support so that I feel emotionally supported no matter what is going on in my life and that I'm not so what that's also helped with is that I don't actually expect anybody in my life to like be that support for me anymore because I found the external supports. And that's also a part of trusting yourself, right? Like the journey of learning to like really truly trust in yourself, it's like a multifaceted journey, but the feeling of feelings practice is an incredible way to um the feeling of feelings practice is an incredible way to build trust with yourself, to show yourself that you're going to show up, but like also getting help, like getting a therapist, getting going to try energy healing, like and that also could open up, you know, new avenues of meeting new people for you, like people that maybe are interested in things that you are, that are on a similar journey, you know, who knows. But and that can also start to expand your world a little bit more in a way that might be helpful. But like you even you just like making the decision like yeah, I think I could use some help. Like that's also you being like starting to trust yourself because when you look back, you're going to say like thank God I got help and I know that I can trust myself to get help when I need help. You see what I'm saying? Oh, thank you, K's World, my dear. Thank you so much. You need to get some more. Oh, that K's World. Hold on, let me see. I think I missed some. Okay, K's World. I'm gonna come back to yours in just a second. Purple Hearts, I'm crying. This is meaningful. And to admit I need some more support. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, my dear. I feel like I have tears in my eyes for you because I'm so proud of you. I wanted to triumph alone, but you know, yeah, we're not meant to do this alone. Yeah. Um, we're not meant to do this alone. We need each other. And you know, I've been really touched by, I don't know if you all have been watching like the World Cup content and just the ways in which the world feels like it's coming together and people are feeling really joyful and welcoming of each other. And we're meant to do this together. We're meant to do this thing called being a human together. And when the people directly around us in our lives aren't able to support us in what we need, then we're meant to go find the people that can support us because they exist and we can't do it alone. We have to seek out other humans. We're meant to seek out other humans. And I'm just so proud of you. I think the other thing that I would say just on that, what you said about you wanted to triumph alone, you know, I think that sometimes for a lot of us, there's that pressure. We feel that like pressure of being in that masculine energy of like needing to do it ourselves, needing to, kind of like succeed on our own. And maybe that message was like ingrained in you at a young age. And it's really like, a lot of the world has we've gotten those messages of staying in that masculine energy, but forsaking the feminine energy of the feeling and the being and the lightness and the softness. And and so part of getting help and seeking out additional assistance is giving yourself a space to be that soft version of yourself, be that honest version of yourself that feels really vulnerable. When you feel like you can't be vulnerable in other parts of your life because other people, your people in your life aren't going to be able to like receive it, they can't hold it, they can't see it because they're not ready for it, then you go find the spaces where you can be that softness, where you can be that vulnerable, where you can show that feminine part of yourself because it's needed. And we need to kind of learn to balance those things and put the masculine energy aside over time. Kay's World, yes, basically my uncle is keeping him alive against his will. I am the black sheep. The nurse agreed with me and said it's your uncle keeping him alive. It's his will, not my granddad's. Okay. And it was validating because he only cares about how he feels, handles all the money. It's terrible, but I have to detach with love and just keep healing me and little me. Oh my gosh, yeah. I need to get some more support for sure. Yeah, Kay's World, definitely look into getting more support. I think, again, it sounds like that's a lot that you're going through, but I think you're so smart in understanding that you need to detach because ultimately, like, you can express yourself to people, but it doesn't mean that they'll be able to hear you. And that's like the whole point of what we've been talking about too, right? Like oftentimes the people right around us and the people in our family, the people in our family of origin are oftentimes not the people that can see, hear, and understand us. And so you can like shout in their face, you can say it very compassionately and lovingly, and like they still won't be able to hear it because their wounding is so big still. And so I would encourage you to look on my YouTube and do the feeling of feelings practice because because you might have some hard feelings that you want to get out. Because it does, even though like here's the thing, even though like we know logically we're like I need to detach, I need to like not emotionally attach to this situation because I can't control it, but it doesn't mean that there's still not hard feelings that come up, right? It doesn't mean that, or even anger. I have a really great anger and rage practice on my YouTube as well. If you feel like you are kind of like angry at your uncle or, at the situation, whatever it is. So these practices are really like they're meant to be used. They're meant to be used regularly depending on what's coming up for you. Hi, Esmeralda. Thank you for your compliment on my name. Thank you, Kay's World, for the gifts. Yes, it's like talking to brick walls. I absolutely will. Yeah, that will be really good. Okay, good, good. I'm really happy for that. Yeah. And so again, like it's kind of like a hard part of the journey. It's kind of the sucky part of the journey of recognizing how the people around you can't show up for you. And it is part of your journey towards being empowered in your life, feeling powerful in your life, to be on this path where it's your responsibility to seek out the tools and the people and the things that are going to be supportive for you. And that's the gift in it that you don't tend to be able to see while you're in it. And oftentimes, even sometimes when I say that, people like don't want to see it as a gift because they're still pretty like angry. They're like, yeah, well, fuck that person. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair too. Because like, I've been there. Like, don't tell me this is a gift, like this person sucks, but that's because I was still angry at them, and that's also a valid place to be. So, yeah, if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll probably end it there for this evening. But yeah, thank you, my dears, for joining, and I'll be back on Tuesday. Yeah, thank you. I should have said this earlier, but thank you so much for your flexibility. If you were like wondering what was going on last week, I've just been trying to figure out my scheduling. Thank you, Kay's World, my dear. Sending you so much love. Thank you for the gifts. Because I'm doing like in-person stuff here in New York, but I'm trying to kind of figure out my schedule. So I will be back on Tuesday next week at the same time. And I'll hope to see you then. Let me know if you have any other questions at that time. And I'm sending you so much love. Thank you. Thank you, Case World. That's so sweet of you. I really appreciate your kind words. Um and thank you both for your vulnerable, very brave sharing, and for also just being you, because who you are open people who are ready to receive the messages that I'm sharing. And so what I also want to say is that anything that you see in me is just me reflecting you. Any insight that I share is just me reflecting the truth that you already knew. Any power that you see in me is just me reflecting the power that is in you. You wouldn't be able to even receive this if it wasn't already inside you, if you weren't already vibrating at the same frequency. So you're on the right path and you're doing exactly the right things. And I'm so proud of you. And I love you so much. And I'm sending you big hugs. Um, Good purple hearts. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you Tuesday and have a great few days until then. Bye.